Jackson Hinkle, someone whom I previously had a conversation with, did a 6-hour force the vote, memorial stream. I don't really know what it is. All I know is Jackson Hinkle's previous opinion on force the vote.
Force the vote, sure, was a failure.
So I was watching a little bit of this, and someone requested that, I talk about it, so I got a couple of clips from what I saw. But this one was the most fascinating. Now, again, people have rightfully pointed out that over the course of the last year, almost 1-to-1, almost every single force the vote dumb fuck that we were laughing at last year became an anti-vaxxer, right? Isn't it interesting that, again, Jimmy Dore, anti-vaxxer, Jackson Hinkle, anti-vaxxer, COVID couch, anti-vaxxer, right? And this is a clip, really, that, in my opinion, is fascinating, and I want to talk about this. So here is a clip where the COVID couch crew, Yo Pasta and Fiorella Isabel, this is a great freeze frame, by the way, you know she's about to say something very intelligent, as well as Jackson Hinkle, say that requiring vaccination is basically like Nazi Germany and the Jim Crow South. Let's watch.
Aren't forced vaccinations a little bit more, along the lines of Nazi than people saying, hey, maybe we shouldn't do that. Maybe we shouldn't segregate. And we've had Garland Nixon. Jimmy has had on Garland Nixon talking about how these mandates are segregating a lot of people, and they happen to be poor people and people of color.
So first of all, forced vaccinations being like Nazis or whatever. Did you go to elementary school, Fiorella Isabel? Because if so, guess what? You got forced vaccinated. Guess what? The idea that bodily autonomy only matters when it comes to combating a deadly pandemic and not when it comes to our food in this country, right? Do you really think you have bodily autonomy? If you've ever gone to a fast food restaurant, you have no bodily autonomy. If you've ever eaten a meat product in the United States, you have no bodily autonomy. You have no say over what you want. The idea that food costs money and that better quality foods cost more money, that means you do not have bodily autonomy. I've got breaking news for you, okay? It just doesn't matter. But again, also, forced vaccinations have always existed in this country. Guess what? Little known fact. George Washington, when fighting the Revolutionary War, forced vaccinations on his soldiers. We wouldn't be in this godforsaken mess if George Washington didn't agree with forced vaccinations. Right? So again, this whole thing is fucking stupid. It's ridiculous. But it's going to get a lot worse. It's going to get a lot worse, okay? And that's the thing here, is the idea that mandating a vaccine is like segregation in the Jim Crow South is just so ridiculous. And the idea that like poor people and people of color are just so like, they're just vaccine hesitant, man. They're just vaccine hesitant, bro. As if that's like a logical position. Oh, well, they're poor. They're hesitant to take a vaccine and they're poor, so therefore you can't criticize them. Oh, they're black. And so when they spew anti-vax garbage and try to get their friends and family killed, you can't criticize them because they're black. What is this? Seriously, I have a genuine question. If a black person is anti-vax, guess what? They're a fucking moron. They're a ludicrous, psychopathic dipshit. If a poor person is anti-vax, guess what? They're a fucking idiot. I don't give a shit. Okay? And it's not segregation in Jim Crow Nazi Germany to suggest people get vaccinated against a deadly fucking disease.
Mandates are segregating a lot of people, and they happen to be poor people and people of color. Black people have been hesitant too in great populations, and I'm not trying to speak on the behalf. I'm after talking to many of them.
And also, the idea that black people are a monolith. I know plenty of black people that are not anti-vax Looney Tunes. I know plenty of black people that know how to fucking wash their hands and take a shower. So the idea that because there's a couple Looney Tunes in the black community, that means they're a monolith. Oh, I know black people that are... You can say that about anything. I know poor people that believe that the earth is flat. So, poor people just, who am I to criticize them? They're poor. I know black people that believe the moon landing was fake. Who am I to criticize them? What? This has nothing to do with that. I'm sorry. This is such a bizarre fucking grift, and this is such a bizarre, like, perversion of reality and terms and history that it blows my fucking mind. It blows my fucking mind, folks. It really does.
I'm not trying to speak on the behalf. I'm after talking to many of them and having Garland on, like, and looking at the videos in New York of people who are, you know, were Black Lives Matter activists saying, hey, these mandates are, they're like using the new Jim Crow to segregate us. It's like, well, why aren't you guys?
If someone believes that Black Lives Matter and has protested against police brutality, right? If they are going to use their time and energy in 2021 or 2022 to talk about how vaccine mandates are the new segregation and the new Jim Crow, I've got news for you. They're a fucking idiot. I don't care what their position was before. I don't care what their other positions are right now. If they are spending any time, any effort organizing against vaccine mandates, right? The only net effective vaccine mandates, by the way, that don't really exist. There really are no vaccine mandates. Oh, I can't go to Wendy's without a vaccine. You don't need Wendy's, motherfucker. I'm just telling you that right now. But again, the idea, right, that is the new... How about this? Get vaccinated. Maybe, think about it. I don't know. Maybe stop the pandemic. Maybe do your part to end the pandemic. Now, again, I do believe in forced vaccinations. If someone doesn't want to participate in society, okay, send them to a nature reserve. Send them off to an island somewhere. Have them live alone by themselves. Send them to Alaska somewhere. That's fine. Let them live by themselves. No society. That means you don't get access to the grid. You get no electricity. You don't get access to water, right? You have to get it yourself. You don't get access to food. If you don't want to be a member of society, that's great. Go live on an island. Go live in Alaska. Go live in the woods. That's fine. But if you want to be a member of society, guess what? If you went to elementary school, you got forced vaccines on you. So as a member of society, we need to do our part to end the pandemic. Now, again, I agree. If you want to be a member of society, that you should be strapped down, like tie you into a chair, knock you out, and force vaccinate. I agree with that. If someone is such a fucking moron and they're walking around without clothes on and they haven't taken a shower in 6 years, you know what I would want to do? You know what I would want to do? I would want to mandate that they put some clothes on and take a fucking shower. That's not racist to suggest. And because someone is black and has a bad opinion, that doesn't mean that the bad opinion automatically carries some mystical weight. I'm sorry. If someone is poor and a fucking idiot, that doesn't mean that, oh, well, they're poor and so blah, 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 blah. I'm sorry. If you're poor and you think 2 + 2 = 38, you're a fucking moron. But let's keep going.
Guys, like, talking about that. And it's a lot of people who are elitist who like work from home and, you know, like Walker, and they have no friends and they have a laptop and they just want to...
Anyone that supports vaccination in this country is elitist, has no friends, and works on a laptop. What? What? I don't even know what that means.
Stay at home because it's better for them. They don't have to go out. They don't have to do anything. But who are you making rich then? The big corporations, Uber, like the food delivery services, those are gigantic corporations where poor people go and work for them, but they're not getting any of the benefit.
You know, this is like one of the most, like, they really, like, again, they turn forced vaccinations, our Nazi Germany, Jim Crow segregation, into you're not a real socialist if you support them because then DoorDash is going to make more money. What? And then Jackson Hinkle's like, yeah, wow, yeah, wow. But he's going to give us a big brain take very soon here. But again, you know who else is profiting from the lack of vaccine mandates? Big Pharma. You want to know why? Pfizer and Moderna are profiting big time. Johnson & Johnson love it. Why? Because of global vaccine apartheid, right? More than half of this entire Earth's population does not have access to the vaccine, and they desperately want it, right? A lot of African countries and South American countries are not going to get access to the vaccine, mass producing it, until 2023. Why? Because they have to reverse engineer them because of vaccine patents. So instead of providing the vaccine for everyone, right, getting everyone vaccinated and ending the pandemic as soon as possible, these companies are raking in the money from vaccine apartheid because everyone needs to go to Moderna to get the vaccine. They're not going to give the blueprints out so anyone can make their own vaccine and help end the pandemic. No. They want to get the money. They got government-funded vaccine production, and now they want to rake in all the profits. That is who is profiting off of the lack of vaccine mandates across this world. The idea that DoorDash might make a little extra money because of food delivery, first of all, why don't we just government subsidy? Why don't we use government subsidy to do that? This is all ludicrous garbage. It's nonsense. But again, it's going to get a lot worse.
So you're just making those people richer, Jeff Bezos, Amazon, when you have these lockdowns. You're not helping small business.
There are no lockdowns. The idea, this is like a Mandela effect. I believe in the Mandela effect now. You know, like Bernstein Bears, right? You know about the Mandela effect? Okay, I believe in the Mandela effect. Throughout this entire pandemic so far, I've lived in North Carolina. There's been no lockdown. None at all. 0 lockdowns, right? The idea that people think that we're under the specter of lockdown at all times. Schools are in session. Schools are open right now. There are school buses going around my town picking up kids and sending them into fucking, small, poorly ventilated areas, right? The idea that we've ever had a lockdown in this country, maybe they got transported from a different universe where that happened. I don't know. There was no lockdown. In my version of the universe, where I live, in this country, in this time, in whatever version of the many worlds theory, right, that I'm currently inhabiting, there was no lockdown. But in these people's minds, we were locked down, and then now we're in the semi-lockdown, right? It's like, what the fuck are you talking about? What are you talking about?
Businesses, and I guess it's not cool to care about small businesses.
But again, okay, so if you support lockdowns, that means you don't care about small businesses. Well, what is a lockdown? That is a government policy, right? So if we're advocating for government policy, why not advocate to subsidize these small businesses? Why not advocate to make it so that they don't need to pay their rent and utility bills when there's a lockdown? No one's going into the store. Why do you need to pay rent on your property? Why do you need to pay property tax on that property when it's locked down? No one's going there, right? So we can use government subsidies, right, to our benefit instead of giving them to these major corporations. We can also tax and scrape back profits and profiting off of the pandemic, right? If we're advocating for public policy, then we can advocate for these things as well, right? The idea that if you are in favor of ending the pandemic that you hate small business, that's completely manufactured. It's a made-up Looney Tune thing. And again, they're tying this into Nazi Germany, Jim Crow South, and segregation. What? If you support ending the pandemic, you're basically a Nazi. You're a serial racist, right? You support segregation. You support the Jim Crow. You hate small businesses. What? And then, Jackson Hinkle. It's going to get good.
You're a leftist, but for me, I see a huge difference between a mom and pop business.
Oh yeah.
And
100%.
Amazon or Kmart or Walmart.
They literally want you to think that if you want to end the pandemic, that you think Amazon and your local fucking celery store down the street are the same. That if you support ending the pandemic, you basically think Tesla and the fucking, card shop down the street that's owned by 2 people, that they're the same. That small business and fucking Facebook are the same. What? And what does that fucking have to do with ending the pandemic? What does that have to do with segregation? But they spin together these conspiracies. But again, it's getting good here.
Walmart, there's a huge difference between people having a small business and trying to not be their own boss and trying to work for themselves.
No one disagrees.
And then somebody who works at a corporation. It doesn't make you any more radical to be anti all business.
No,
in Jackson Hinkle's world now, his brain, the expanding galaxy brain meme, he's like, oh my god, it's true. It's true. The boutique left, they hate small businesses, but also all business are the same, and supporting ending the pandemic means that you hate small businesses and think that because you hate business or whatever. Like, what? Like, literally, none of this makes any sense at all.
You know what it is? It's people that have like found. You know, I can't really throw too many stones, but I've tried my best to like educate myself since kind of like waking up out of this shitlib sphere I was in. But it's like people who have been in and kind of birthed out of like the AOC Bernie movement, and they haven't done any further digging past like kind of having a political awakening out of that movement. And they think these things. They think that like, oh, socialism.
Bernie supporters and AOC fans literally think that like
equals no more like small businesses or
no one thinks that. No one thinks that. But again, you notice how these people work, right? You have a guest on, they say a bunch of batshit crazy fucking garbage, and then you bring that into your main narrative. That Bernie supporters, anyone that supported Bernie, anyone that likes AOC even a little bit, think that all small businesses should suffer. No one thinks that. 0% of Bernie supporters want to end small businesses. 0% of AOC fans want to end small businesses. No one thinks that, right? Ending this pandemic is not like Nazi Germany. Ending this pandemic is not like Jim Crow. You know what's like Jim Crow? All these voting restrictions being placed on half the country. You know what's like Jim Crow? Right, all the racist fucking policing in this country. That's like Jim Crow. Vaccination is not like Jim Crow. It's not, oh, well, a poor person once told me that their dog can walk on the ceiling. That's not, oh, well, they're poor, so therefore they're... No, that's not... If someone says something stupid, I don't care if they're poor. I don't care if they're black. If they say something fucking stupid, I'm gonna say that they said something fucking stupid, okay? If a black person says, like, I care more about vaccine apartheid than I care about... police brutality, guess what? That tells me that they're a fucking moron. That tells me that they're fucking stupid, right? And so the idea that, well, a black person said it, so can't question it. Black people are all a monolith. A black person told me that they don't believe in washing their hands, so that therefore all the black people are hesitant. What? 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 What the fuck? And then also, again, we never lived in, there was never a lockdown. Now, again, maybe in California, because these are like champagne communist fucking like, you know, West Coastal elites, right? They all live in California. So maybe in California there was some semblance of a lockdown. I don't know, right? But in the real world where I live in North fucking Carolina, there was never a lockdown. Never, not a single second of a lockdown. So the idea that these people, and then people watch this. Now imagine, right? Look at the chat. Like, it's filled with these fire emojis and hearts, right? You know, people are like, yeah, man, woo! Like, people are like, yeah! AOC supporters want to end small businesses because they support Jim Crow, segregation, Nazi Germany. The only thing I can say about this, to be honest with you...
Only the really... I hate to say this, but those with the lowest IQ.
It's just so fucking dumb, folks.
That isn't what it meant.
Well, what did it mean then? Explain.
It meant that it's indicative of low-resolution thinking.
They're just so fucking stupid. They're just, like, it's... And if Jackson watches my little video here and you want to have another debate about vaccine mandates, anytime, brother. Let's do it. I'm down. Because this whole fucking anti-mandate garbage is fucking ludicrous. As if mandates are happening. Right? Like, that's... It's fantasy. These people live... They're steeped in fantasy. They are steeped in fantasy. A black person said something, so therefore all black people think this. A poor person said something, therefore this is the opinion of the poors. I can't get over it. It's brain dead. This is brain dead. Like, this is like, you know, like your body is alive, but the brain is not. Like, this is like some serious fucking dementia going on. It's insane, dude. It is fucking insane.